We want to be able to sit there and say, from this equation, I know that it's going to be a parabola, I know that it's going to be a circle, I know it's going to be an ellipse, or it's going to be a hyperbola, right? That's what we want to know without having to sit there and do all the math, correct? Okay, so what we're going to need to do is pay attention to, and they call this the general format or the general form. Okay, and all that means is in Algebra 1, I think we called it um, descending order, where we started with the biggest powers and we just worked down. Okay, does that sound more familiar? Okay, so here's the cool thing. So how do I know if it's a circle? Well, I know that A is equal to C. So this constant and this constant here are equal. They're the same. Perfect. Okay. All right. Now, for a parabola, A times C is equal to 0. Okay. Now, if you think about it, all right, whenever we do a parabola, we have, say, y is equal to x squared plus something, right? So if I did just a general, let's see here, 2x plus 1, right? Is there a y squared? So that means that that the c is 0, okay? So then that's why it goes to 0. And then the same thing works here. If I said x is equal to y squared plus um, 3y plus 2, there's no a, but there's a c, which is 1. 1 times 0 is 0. That's why that works for us, okay? So in an ellipse, if we take a times c, it's greater than 0. That means that a times c is positive. And if you go back to your paper, the ellipse right here is positive, okay? And then if we go to so thinking of what from that paper, what do you think is going to happen with a times c? Exactly. It's going to be negative. Correct. Okay. So, I lost Noah now. All right. So let's do an example here. So we're going to go with y squared is equal to 18 minus 2x squared. All right. Like that? Okay. Now, is it set up in a general format? Remember, the format has to equal what? 0. So I need to put everything over on one side. So that means I'm going to have 2x squared plus y squared. All right. So what's my a? What's my c? 1. Because I'm looking at, okay, so the x squared, I'm going to see if I can get it on there. It's going to cut off. Maybe not. So there's the a because it's x squared, right? The y squared is 1, so that means that the c is like that, okay? So then 2 times 1 is 2. Is that bigger than 0? So therefore this is an ellipse, okay? So I'll just set, this is number 2. So maybe this will help out. What's A equal to? 1, right? Sorry. Yeah, we're doing a new one. Sorry. What's my C? 1. A and C equal each other, therefore it is a. What's my A? -1. What's my C? So -1 times 3 is? The 1 day. Okay, well, let's just, now that you get kind of the format, do I need to add that 32? Okay, what's my A? What's my C? Very good. Hmm. We're going to practice this, and then we're going to practice graphing them again. Okay? Um, okay, what's my A? Parabola. It's a prep. And we'll come back and graph this one, okay? Waiting. Correct. So what is my A equal here? And my C equals? Ah, I flipped it up. I flipped it up like this. I sneezed in my elbow like I was supposed to. That's all right. When I was doing this in third try, I burped right into it. I couldn't even stop it. It was hilarious. Okay, so what does A equal? C equals? Do you see? Do you see an x squared in there, Gunner? But that x, that squared is what? Yeah. Okay. So let's go back, kind of review a little bit with this one right here, okay? So we got 2y squared minus x squared plus 16 is equal to 0. We already know that it's going to be a, we already know that it's going to be a, okay. So now, if you look on your paper, you see that x is going to be negative, okay? So we're thinking this is going to be this is going to be vertical, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2y squared. Here, I'm going to do what with this 16? I'm going to subtract it over, right? Like that. With me? Okay. What does this side always have to be? No. This is correct. It's one for an ellipse and also one for a. So I'm trying to do a review of what you guys should have done, what we were covering yesterday. So when I divide by negative 16, what happens to a negative and a negative? So it becomes x squared over 16, right? Okay. Now what's 2 divided by negative 16? So negative 8. So now, and then negative 16 divided by negative 16 is 1. So now, since the y is negative, I need to change my understanding that it's going to be a horizontal. Okay? You guys with me so far? Okay. What was that? It's still a hyperbola. It's still, okay, it's because even the hyperbola is equal to 1, ellipse is also equal to 1. Okay? What I did was when I first looked at it, I saw that the x squared was negative. So that means when I looked at the paper here, my x was negative here. So I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be vertical. But when I worked through the math, it turned out that it ended up being horizontal because the y squared was negative. Okay? Okay. So now the center is still going, well, not still, but the center is going to be what? What's my h? 0, 0. Perfect. Why is it 0, 0? There's no numbers there. Okay, I love that. That makes my heart shine a little bit. I'm going to pause it. Okay, so just kind of review from yesterday's lecture. We found the center to be 0, 0. We worked on finding our vertices over here. There's our A. Add it to 0. We got that. Did our foci. Did the math for that. We did our asymptotes. And we found it really difficult to do a square root of 2 over 2. So we just approximated it as best we could. And then we put in our vertices and we went from there. So have a good day.